Hey guys, what's going on? Fly here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're on the dev blog and we have a new post. Today is March 17th, obviously, but just for the record, we have the Panzer SFL 4A Dicker Max, aka Fat Max, being added to 1.57. So if you guys haven't heard of the Dicker Max, it is a German SPG or a German TD, and it was first designed to take out concrete bunkers, especially on the French Maginot line. How was that? I thought that was horrible. But it was later used as just an anti-SPG TD with that powerful gun that we'll talk about in a little bit. So again, we are on the dev blog, so you guys can follow along with me if you want to. The link to the dev blog will be in the description below with the Dicker Max presented to you guys. Okay, so Dicker Max, Fat Max, SPG was developed as an enemy bunker destroyer, a powerful gun on a mobile platform. By 1941, the Germans managed to make 2 experimental prototypes, which were sent to the front lines for testing. The Fat Max was never actually used for its primary purpose. The requirements for assault guns changed while the SPG was still in development. Some other information they didn't mention is that on Wikipedia, they state that one of the 2 prototypes that were sent during the invasion of the Soviet Union accidentally caught fire and was completely destroyed by detonation of its ammunition. So it just goes to show you that in wartime, I think in any wartime, especially the ones in the 20th century, I mean, just the technology gained through wartime and the demand for bigger, better, more armored, lighter, quicker, all those variables go in during wartime, and it makes for quick development, quick production phase, or quick prototype phase for the Dicker Max. It's not surprising that stuff blows up when it's not properly tested, and the demand for bigger, better killing machines doesn't let that machine, whatever it is, go through the proper phase to get all the kinks knocked out. Continuing on, the Dicker Max is based on a modified Panzer Kampfwagen 4 Offsch E. Alright, we're going to go with that one. Medium tank chassis, with the turret removed and replaced by an open top cabin. So when that happens, it's starting to look a lot more like the Dicker Max. The chassis was not changed much. The front splash guards were removed and the shape of the frame was changed in some ways. The SPG's armor was inherited from the Panzer Kampfwagen 4, a rather decent 50mm armor on the front of the vehicle. That's not fairly decent. Honestly, what 50mm does is it allows a round that does around 90 to 100 meters or 100 millimeters of penetration. It allows it to enter the tank and have some resistance and really explode. I mean, really explode. I'm talking about the T-34 round. So having a good amount of armor that a AP-HE can still get through, that makes it that much stronger, and this tank won't last more than I would say 1 shot. But anyways, that's not a part about it. You're not really supposed to be in the open with a TD. You're supposed to be concealed, but we still have to be thankful for the 50mm of armor, because what that allows us to do is it allows us to protect ourselves from MG fire, like 30 cal to 50 cal, and 20mm cannon round from annoying anti-aircraft vehicles, such as the British anti-aircraft vehicles. Those 20 mils can only go up to about, with a fully upgraded AP belt, to about 45 to 46mm of penetration. But at the same time, War Thunder has some trouble dealing with that amount of spam at one location, and some might go through. They might ricochet off weird objects and angles and bounce into your fighting compartment. Also, you're pretty much protected from the guys, the one with the 20 or 23mm. The ones that you are not protected from, the 20mm, are the Wirbelwind. If you guys play arcade, those things have about 65 millimeters of penetration, so sayonara. But for the most part, it's just going to be nice to be able to not be eradicated by anti-aircraft vehicles that use 20 mil or tanks that you have wounded their gunner and they're shooting machine guns at you. But yes, ZSU 37mm will probably destroy the crap out of you, so good luck with that. So enough about armor, let's start talking about the DICKER Max's gun. Alright, so the devblog says, however, the task of these SPGs was not a frontal assault. Like I said, you really shouldn't be at the front lines with the DICKER Max, but the provision of support for friendly tank breakthroughs, firing from cover with precise fire at long distance. So that's nice to hear. The DICKER Max's gun is going to be extremely accurate, unlike the British 57mm, thank goodness. The interesting gun on the Fat Max can help us with the 105 K18 L52 weapon. At its core, this is a real field gun which was placed on an open top platform. So get this, guys, the DICKER Max's gun was literally an artillery piece that was stripped from its carriage and put onto a mobile chassis, and then you have a big muzzle brake for the DICKER Max to help with recoil, and then that's your gun. The DICKER Max has the 10.5 centimeter Schwer Cannon 18. And also, I just wanted to make sure that we understand that the 10.5 centimeter gun on the DICKER Max is completely different than the German 10.5 centimeter gun we already have in game. That one is called the Feldhaubitze, and it's a howitzer. The one we're getting is the Schwerkannon, or serious gun, or heavy gun. This one, the Schwerkannon, is not to be messed with, and that one is going on the DICKER Max. Reading more on the devblog, they say the relative spacious cabin of the DICKER Max holds 26 separately loaded shells and 3 crew members. So in the tank compartment, you know, in the open area, we have 3 crew members. It's nice that it's relatively spacious, because relatively spacious tank compartments or fighting compartments really do a good job at, you know, staying alive, just like the tortoise. But I don't think the DICKER Max is on that scale, but it might have an effect. Now we're finding out how the DICKER Max will work in game. In War Thunder, the DICKER Max will be at rank 3 in a newly added German SPG branch. Right before the Nashorn. So what that means is that these aren't going into the TD line like the Stug and the Jagdpanzer and the Jagdtiger. These are getting their own individual trees. So in the future, we're going to be having a lot more German open tank case destroyers, open TDs with a top on, convertible tank destroyers. Boom. They say even the frontal armor is not strong enough to allow the vehicle to stand still without careful consideration. The firing position needs to be chosen carefully. As usual for this particular German research branch, the weak armor is compensated for by the decent gun. I hope it's above decent. Decent is a scary word for me. It's too gray, if you know what I'm saying. But they continue, they say the 105mm gun can easily destroy any opponent at its rank with one shot. Nope, sorry, they didn't say that. But seriously, if we look at it, this is not a howitzer. The DICKER Max it has an anti-tank cannon on it, or Schwerkannon, and it's 105 millimeters. And the Germans are going to be having a armored piercing cap, ballistic cap, Nazi moon shell, that when it enters the enemy tank, it's first of all, it's going to penetrate. Well, we already said enter, so we already gave it away, but it's going to penetrate that tank very easily, and it's going to have more explosive filler than any shell, probably up to the Leopard's 105 or the Mouse or the Jagdtiger's 128 millimeters. So with having a 105 millimeter or 10.5 centimeter shell entering a tank at tier 3, hopefully we don't have that big of a BR because I don't know yet, but I expect it to be semi-low, maybe into the T-34-85 range. If that shell enters that tank, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is going to be a very effective counter to the T-34. But alright guys, that is it from me. I hope you guys are excited about the DICKER Max because I am too. I am getting pretty hard. We'll see you next time, boys.